You've erased your closest friend from your life after a decade of connection. No confrontation, no final conversation, just a clean break. Your relatives question your mental state. Colleagues notice you've withdrawn. A person who once claimed to understand you confided to someone else, they've completely transformed. I can't find any trace of who they used to be. And here's what might trouble observers most. Your sleep quality has improved dramatically. This explores the psychology of cutting people off and why people cut everyone off. If you're reading this, you're likely someone who has done this, or you're attempting to comprehend someone who has. There exists a pivotal moment, not necessarily theatrical or conspicuous, but a precise instant when something within you either fractures or perhaps finally mends, and you arrive at a conclusion others will label as radical. For certain individuals, it's reaching a significant age milestone in solitude because everyone overlooked it. For others, it's facing a health crisis and discovering your device remains silent. For some, it's more subtle, the 15th instance of revealing something deeply personal only to receive a distracted, "Wow, that's intense," before they pivot the discussion back to their own concerns. Whatever triggered it, something fundamental altered. The subconscious evaluation you've been conducting for years finally yielded a conclusion you couldn't dismiss. These connections are extracting more than they're providing, and they're depleting something essential within you. You accomplished what previously seemed unthinkable. You ceased all involvement completely. Let's clarify exactly what we're discussing regarding cutting people off psychology and emotional burnout relationships. This transcends merely taking time apart or requiring personal space or experiencing a temporary phase. This represents a total reconstruction. Eliminating online platforms without any advance notice. Obtaining a new contact number and withholding it from anyone connected to your previous existence. Relocating to a different city without informing a single soul of your destination. Blocking not merely specific individuals but whole social networks. Refusing to acknowledge messages, communications, or phone attempts. Absolute disconnection. From an external perspective, this appears drastic, illogical, suggesting something must be fundamentally wrong. Perhaps you were experiencing a collapse. Or perhaps you were finally liberating yourself from something that had been slowly suffocating you. So gradually that you remained unaware until breathing became impossible. Here's the actual neurological process occurring in someone practicing why people disappear from relationships. Your nervous system has been functioning in persistent heightened awareness far longer than you recognized. Not physical threat, social pressure, but continuous assessment. Am I secure with these individuals? Will they cause me harm? Have they already damaged me while I've been pretending otherwise? Every unacknowledged vulnerability, every unreturned investment, every occasion you appeared and nobody reciprocated, your brain was documenting evidence. Eventually, your nervous system reached an administrative conclusion: these individuals represent danger. The sole method to achieve security is total elimination. This isn't a logical decision you contemplate deliberately. It's a survival mechanism engaging through self-preservation psychology. Your physiology transitions into defensive mode. Defensive mode dictates, establish separation from harm sources. Everyone begins registering as potentially unsafe. People will presume something is malfunctioning with you regarding setting boundaries psychology. They'll claim you're withdrawing, employing therapeutic terminology that transforms your protective measures into pathological symptoms. But here's their oversight regarding social withdrawal psychology. When someone retreats because existence feels purposeless, it manifests distinctly from what's occurring here. Your actions don't constitute shutting down, they represent clarification. You're creating distance because you finally perceive the circumstances accurately. What you observe is that numerous connections were never authentic initially. They were illusions maintained solely through your commitment. You possess too much awareness to maintain pretenses. You've glimpsed behind the facade. You've understood that most relationships were transactional, theatrical, or merely routine. People occupied space in your existence because they'd perpetually been present, not because they'd merited their position. Once you recognize it, reversal becomes impossible. Here's the mechanism keeping most people trapped: devotion to individuals who never demonstrated reciprocal devotion. You matured alongside them. You've maintained contact since university. They attended your marriage ceremony. You've experienced so much collectively. Except, were they genuinely present, or merely physically attending? There's a distinction between someone appearing at occasions in your existence and someone actually supporting your journey. Between someone sending birthday greetings and someone understanding your current struggles. Between someone participating in group communications and someone privately checking your welfare when you become quiet regarding avoidant attachment explained. You maintain devotion to shared history. They remained comfortable with existing arrangements. When you finally terminated that devotion, everyone behaved as though you committed treachery. But consider this question nobody poses: how frequently did they betray you before your departure? How many occasions did they fail to appear while you forgave them and remained regardless? When practicing emotional exhaustion relationships through cutting everyone off, you're accomplishing something most people fear attempting. You're being ruthlessly truthful regarding relationship quality. Most individuals preserve friendships from duty, sentimentality, or confrontation avoidance. They retain people who diminish them because they lack termination knowledge. They remain in muted group discussions. They attend dreaded gatherings. They simulate closeness they don't experience. You cease performing, and immediately upon cessation, reality became undeniable. Without your investment, these relationships cease existing. That's not something most can acknowledge. They preserve the illusion. But you abandon the performance entirely. Here's what disturbs observers most regarding why people isolate themselves. You're not struggling. They anticipate misery, remorse, recognition of error, return accompanied by apologies. Instead, you're functioning well, exceeding well. Your days possess newfound lightness. Your stress measurements have decreased. You're achieving complete rest. You've discontinued the recurring anxiety scenario about arriving at gatherings where everyone disregards you, because you no longer attend those gatherings through healing through distance. The relief proves so substantial it nearly frightens you because it validates your suspicion. Those relationships weren't enriching your existence, they were depleting it. Everyone's bewilderment regarding your relief simply demonstrates they never grasped what maintaining connections with them originally cost you. This pattern nearly invariably originates in early attachment experiences and psychology of boundaries. Perhaps you had a guardian who was inconsistently accessible, occasionally affectionate, occasionally distant, and you never anticipated which version would manifest. You learned hypervigilance regarding others' emotional conditions while disregarding your own. Perhaps you were the parentified child, managing everyone else's emotions, maintaining harmony, ensuring everyone's wellness. You discovered your worth originated from your usefulness, from what you could accomplish for others. Perhaps you simply went unnoticed, not mistreated, not obviously neglected, just unseen. Your parents cared for you, but didn't truly understand you. You learned that genuine recognition wasn't something relationships typically provided. Whatever the source, you developed a framework. I contribute, they extract, and I cannot require anything reciprocally. You followed that framework for decades until carrying the burden became impossible. In attachment framework terminology, you're experiencing extreme avoidant attachment activation regarding choosing solitude psychology. Avoidant attachment develops when depending on others proves unsafe. You become hyper-independent. You take pride in self-sufficiency. You establish distance before intimacy develops because intimacy necessitates vulnerability, and vulnerability has exclusively resulted in disappointment. Most avoidance still preserves superficial relationships, maintaining people at distance without complete elimination. Your action represents the extreme manifestation. You didn't merely establish distance, you eliminated the complete relationship archive. This occurs when maintaining even distant relationships' pain surpasses complete isolation's fear. When your nervous system determines that solitude genuinely provides greater security than proximity to harmful individuals through personal development. People will label you isolated regarding self-care. You understand you're protected. Isolation suggests something imposed upon you: involuntary world disconnection, loneliness, and suffering. Protection suggests agency, actively choosing to establish boundaries between yourself and harm. Selecting security over connection because connection hasn't provided security. This represents what people refuse comprehending. You're not fleeing intimacy. You're escaping the specific pseudo-intimacy variety you've encountered, where people desire access without genuine investment. Sometimes you experience something resembling grief. But it's not grief for the individuals. It's grief for what you believe those relationships represented. You're mourning the friendship you thought you maintained with someone who, ultimately, barely considered you. You're mourning family closeness that actually constituted shared trauma and obligation. You're mourning a social existence version that only inhabited your imagination. The individuals themselves, you don't genuinely miss them. You miss their concept, the role they should have fulfilled but never did. Once you separate fantasy from reality, grief dissolves. What remains is simply relief. Cutting everyone off compels answering a terrifying question: who are you without these relationships? Substantial identity portions were constructed around being someone's friend, someone's child, someone's colleague. You were the humorous one, the dependable one, the perpetually composed one. When you remove all those people, those identities vanish, and temporarily you possess no self-concept. This constitutes the transition period, the space between your former self and whoever you're becoming. Some people panic here and return, re-establishing contact because not knowing themselves feels worse than harmful relationships. But if you can inhabit this uncomfortable space sufficiently long, something interesting occurs. You begin discovering your authentic self. Not your performed identity for others. Who you are when nobody's observing. Here's the challenging part. In your purge, you probably severed connections with some undeserving individuals. Someone in your existence probably genuinely cared, was attempting, would have appeared if you provided opportunity. But you were so exhausted from providing chances to people who squandered them that risk became impossible. You eliminated everyone, including exceptions. This represents collateral damage, unfortunate but comprehensible. When you reach your threshold, you cease analyzing intentions and focus on distancing from pain sources. You simply exit completely. Eventually, someone will inquire, will you permit anyone in again? Honestly, you don't know. Presently, rebuilding your social existence feels exhausting. The prospect of superficial conversation, self-explanation, gradually constructing trust only to potentially watch it crumble again, it feels impossible. Perhaps eventually you'll be prepared. Perhaps you'll encounter someone making connection feel secure instead of dangerous. Perhaps you'll develop superior filtering mechanisms to identify safe people earlier. Or perhaps you won't. Perhaps you'll construct a full, meaningful existence without traditional relationship structures everyone claims you require. People will judge you harshly. They'll claim you're damaged, antisocial, relationship incapable. They'll speculate personality disorders. They'll utilize you as cautionary illustration about abandoning people. Let them. Their judgment stems from not comprehending your experience. They're evaluating your solution without understanding the problem. They're critiquing your boundary without acknowledging why you required one this extreme. You owe nobody explanation. You owe nobody access. You owe nobody another opportunity to harm you. Cutting everyone off isn't connection ability failure. It's evidence you finally valued yourself sufficiently to cease accepting harmful connection. It's not abandoning people, it's abandoning forced relationships that only function when you performed all labor. It's not coldness, it's finally feeling sufficiently warm in your own presence that you don't require standing in others' proximity pretending it's warmth. You're not broken, you're recalibrated. Perhaps the most radical self-love act is recognizing when to distance yourself from everyone who taught you love should hurt. You cut everyone off because retaining them was severing yourself from the person you could become. For the first time in your existence, you selected yourself. That's not a breakdown, that's a breakthrough in survival. So, tell me, is your silence a form of self-protection, or have you simply reached your limit with the world? Drop a comment below. I want to see how many of us are choosing solitude over shallow connections. If this insight resonated, hit subscribe. We dive into the why behind our behavior every single day. And smash the like button so others looking for these answers can finally find their tribe.